The last thing my father said to me was, "Take care of your sister." I never imagined those words would come back to haunt me quite like this. I'm Desiree, and until 3 months ago, I thought I knew exactly who I was. The responsible older sister, the one who always did the right thing. Now, I'm not so sure anymore. "You look tired," Nancy said, sliding a steaming latte across my kitchen table. "When was the last time you actually slept?" I shrugged, wrapping my hands around the warm cup. "Sleep's overrated when you're trying to figure out how to make rent next month." "Still nothing from the inheritance?" The word made my stomach clench. "According to Ainsley, Dad left everything to her. Everything." I took a sip of coffee, letting the bitter taste match my mood. "She showed up at my apartment last week in her new Mercedes, talking about her dream wedding like nothing was wrong. That doesn't sound like your father at all." Nancy frowned, leaning forward. "He always seemed so fair." "That's what I thought too." I pulled out my phone, showing her the text Ainsley had sent me yesterday. "Look at this. Don't worry, sis. Once the wedding's paid for, I'll help you out with whatever's left." Nancy's eyes widened. "Whatever's left? She's using your inheritance for her wedding?" "Apparently," I forced a smile. "You should see the venue she's booked. Makes Buckingham Palace look modest." The doorbell rang, making me jump. Through the window, I caught a glimpse of Ainsley's perfectly styled blonde hair. "Speak of the devil," I muttered, standing up. Nancy squeezed my hand before I walked to the door. Ainsley burst in like a hurricane in designer clothes. "Des! You'll never believe what happened with the flower arrangements." She stopped short when she saw Nancy. "Oh, hi." "Hi, Ainsley," Nancy replied coolly. "I was just leaving." She gathered her things, giving me a meaningful look. "Call me later." After Nancy left, Ainsley flopped onto my couch. God, she still hates me, doesn't she? Ever since high school. Can you blame her? I remained standing. "You did steal her boyfriend right before prom." Ainsley waved her hand dismissively. "Ancient history. Anyway, about the flowers." "Actually," I interrupted, "can we talk about Dad's will?" Her expression shifted slightly, so quickly I almost missed it. "What about it?" "It just seems odd that he'd leave everything to you." Ainsley stood up, smoothing her dress. "He knew I needed it more. You've always been the responsible one, Des, the successful one." She walked to my window, gesturing at my modest apartment. "I mean, you're doing fine on your own." "Fine?" I laughed incredulously. "I'm about to lose my apartment." "Don't be so dramatic." She turned back to me, her smile not quite reaching her eyes. "Look, once I'm married to Sergio, I'll help you out. Promise." Something in her tone made me pause. "What do you mean, once you're married?" "Oh, you know." She fumbled with her purse. "Just wedding expenses and all that. Speaking of which, you are coming to the dress fitting tomorrow, right? As my maid of honor?" I stared at her, remembering something Dad had said months ago before he got sick. Something about making sure both his girls were taken care of. "Of course," I heard myself say. "Wouldn't miss it." After Ainsley left, I sat in my quiet apartment, replaying her words in my head. Something wasn't adding up. The way she'd avoided my eyes when talking about the will, that comment about waiting until after the wedding. My phone buzzed with a text from Luke, our older brother. "Hey sis, just heard about Dad's will from Ainsley. You okay?" I typed back, "Actually no. Can you meet me tomorrow? There's something I need to check." His response came quickly. "Noon at Murphy's." "Perfect," I replied, already forming a plan. I walked to my bedroom and opened my closet, pulling out the old shoebox where I kept important documents. At the bottom was Dad's business card for his lawyer, Mitchell Robinson. I'd been avoiding this call, telling myself to trust Ainsley, to keep the peace. But Dad's last words echoed in my head. "Take care of your sister." Maybe it was time to figure out exactly what that meant. I picked up my phone and dialed Mitchell's number, my heart pounding as it rang. "Mitchell Robinson's office," a voice answered. "Hi," I said, gripping the phone tighter. "This is Desiree Franklin. I need to talk to you about my father's will." Murphy's was packed for lunch when I arrived, but I spotted Luke immediately at our usual corner booth. He stood up to hug me, and I noticed the dark circles under his eyes matched mine. "You look terrible," he said, sliding a menu my way. "Thanks. You're not exactly glowing yourself." I sat down, scanning the diner for familiar faces. "Did you tell anyone we were meeting?" Luke shook his head. "Not even Sarah." "What's going on, Des? Your text seemed urgent." Before I could answer, the waitress appeared. After ordering coffee, I pulled out a manila envelope and placed it on the table. "I met with Mitchell this morning," I said quietly. Luke's eyebrows shot up. "Dad's lawyer?" "What did he say?" "That's the thing." I leaned forward. According to him, Dad's original will split everything equally between the three of us. But 2 weeks before he died, someone brought in a new will, signed and notarized. "Let me guess, leaving everything to Ainsley?" I nodded, pulling out some papers. "Look at these bank statements. The day after Dad died, Ainsley transferred almost everything to a new account, then started making massive withdrawals." Luke whistled low. "The wedding? 50,000 for the venue alone." I spread the papers across the table. "But here's what's weird. Look at the signature on the new will." He studied it, frowning. "Something's off." "Mitchell thinks so too. He's having a handwriting expert look at it." The waitress returned with our coffee, and we fell silent until she left. "What are you going to do?" Luke asked, stirring sugar into his cup. My phone buzzed. A text from Nancy. "At the dress fitting. Where are you?" "Ainsley's freaking out." "Shit," I muttered. "I'm supposed to be at the bridal shop." "Go," Luke said, gathering the papers. "I'll look into this more." "But Des?" He caught my arm as I stood. "Be careful. If Ainsley did forge Dad's signature..." "I know." I grabbed my purse. "Just don't tell anyone about this yet." The bridal shop was the explosion of white tulle and nervous energy. Ainsley stood on a pedestal draped in what looked like an entire department store's worth of lace. "You're late," she snapped, while the seamstress pinned her hem. "Traffic," I lied, catching Nancy's eye in the mirror. She gave me a subtle nod. We'd talk later. "Whatever." Ainsley twirled, the dress sparkling under the boutique lights. "What do you think?" "Sergio's mother says it might be a bit much, but I think it's perfect." I watched her preen in the mirror, remembering how we used to play dress-up in Mom's old clothes. Before she died, before Ainsley learned that charm could get her anything she wanted. "It's beautiful," I said, and it was. Just like everything else she was buying with money that wasn't hers. My phone vibrated again. Mitchell. "Expert confirmed. Signature doesn't match. Meeting tomorrow, 9 a.m. "Who keeps texting you?" Ainsley demanded. "Just work stuff." I slipped the phone away. "Hey, remember when Dad used to talk about his retirement plans?" Ainsley stiffened slightly. "What about them?" "He always said he'd split everything equally, that it was important to him we all had the same opportunities." The seamstress excused herself to get more pins, and Nancy suddenly became very interested in a rack of veils. "People change their minds," Ainsley said sharply. "He changed his. End of story." "Did he?" I stepped closer to the pedestal. "Or did someone change it for him?" She turned to face me, her expression hardening. "What exactly are you implying?" "I'm not implying anything. I'm asking why our father would suddenly decide to cut 2 of his children out of his will 2 weeks before he died. Because he knew you didn't need it." She stepped down from the pedestal, her dress rustling. "You've always been the golden child, Des. Perfect grades, perfect job, perfect life. For once, he wanted to make things fair." "Fair?" I laughed. "You're spending our inheritance on a wedding that costs more than my annual salary." "Is that what this is about? Money?" She grabbed her phone. "Fine, I'll write you a check right now. Will that shut you up?" "This isn't about money," I said quietly. "This is about what Dad actually wanted, and I'm going to find out the truth." Ainsley's face went pale. "Get out." "Gladly." I turned to leave, then stopped. "Oh, and Ainsley, the dress is beautiful. I hope it's worth it." Outside, Nancy caught up with me. That was intense. What's really going on? I showed her Mitchell's text. Want to help me take down my sister? She linked her arm through mine. Honey, I've been waiting years to hear you say that. Mitchell's office felt colder than I remembered, or maybe it was just the weight of what he was telling me. Forgery is a serious crime, he said, sliding the expert's report across his desk. Are you sure you want to pursue this? She's my sister, I replied, staring at the document. But she stole from me, from Luke, from Dad's memory. So yes, I'm sure. A knock interrupted us. Mitchell's assistant poked her head in. Mr. Mason is here to see you. My heart stopped. Sergio, Ainsley's fiancé, walked in, his usually perfect suit slightly rumpled. I'm sorry, Mitchell started, but we're in the middle of… It's okay, Sergio said, his voice tight. This concerns Ms. Franklin's case. He turned to me. We need to talk. Mitchell excused himself, leaving us alone in his office. Sergio paced by the window, running his hands through his dark hair. How long have you known? He asked finally. About the will? A few days. Why? He pulled out his phone, showing me a series of text messages. Ainsley's been moving money around, large amounts. My mother, she works in banking, noticed some irregularities. What kind of irregularities? Besides the forged will? He laughed bitterly. She's been funneling money into offshore accounts. The wedding? It's just a cover. She's planning to disappear right after. The room spun slightly. What? I confronted her last night. He loosened his tie. She denied everything, of course, but then I found this in her drawer. He handed me a passport, brand new, with Ainsley's photo but a different name. Jesus, I whispered. Does she know you found it? No, but… He was cut off by voices in the hallway. I don't care if he's in a meeting. Ainsley's voice carried through the door. That's my fiancé's car outside. I shoved the passport into my bag just as she burst in. She froze when she saw us together. What's going on? Her eyes darted between us. Just discussing the wedding, Sergio said smoothly. Desiree had some concerns about the venue payment. In our lawyer's office. Her voice rose slightly. Mitchell's an old family friend, I added quickly. He's helping with some paperwork. Ainsley's perfectly made-up face twisted. Paperwork? What kind of paperwork? The kind that proves you forged Dad's will, I snapped, my patience finally breaking. Game's over, Ainsley. You have no proof. Actually, Sergio stepped forward. We do. The colour drained from her face. You're taking her side? I'm taking the side of the truth. He moved closer to me. And the truth is, you've been lying to everyone. Ainsley's hand flew to her throat, a gesture so reminiscent of our mother, it made my chest hurt. Sergio, baby, let me explain. Explain what? His voice was ice. How you plan to take the money and run? Leave me at the altar? She stumbled backward. Who told you? I mean, that's ridiculous. Your mother called me this morning, I said, the lie coming easily. She's worried about you, Ainsley. This has to stop. Mum's dead, she spat. She doesn't get to worry anymore. Neither of you do. She grabbed her purse. The wedding's in 3 days. Try to stop it and you'll regret it. After she stormed out, Sergio slumped against the desk. I can't marry her. No, I agreed. You can't. But if I call it off, she'll know something's wrong. She'll run. I pulled out my phone, texting Luke. Emergency meeting, your place. 1 hour. Then we don't call it off, I told Sergio. We let her think everything's fine. But the wedding, that's where we'll catch her. He looked up, surprised. You have a plan? Getting there. My phone buzzed. Luke confirming the meeting. Want to help take down your fiancé? A slow smile spread across his face. You know what's funny? I actually do. We left Mitchell's office separately. As I waited for my Uber, another text came through from an unknown number. Heard you're causing trouble. Back off. Or those parking tickets won't be your only legal problem. I showed the text to Nancy when I got to Luke's place. She whistled. Looks like big sister's gloves are coming off. Good, I said, watching Sergio pace Luke's living room. Because mine are too. Luke brought out coffee and his laptop. Okay, sis. What's the plan? I looked at our unlikely alliance. my brother, my best friend, and my sister's fiancé, and smiled. We're going to give Ainsley exactly the wedding she deserves. 2 days before the wedding, I sat in Sergio's mother's elegant living room, watching Kira pace with military precision. "Let me get this straight," she said, her banking background evident in her methodical thinking. "My future daughter-in-law forged a will, stole her siblings' inheritance, and plans to abandon my son at the altar?" "That's the short version," Sergio replied, loosening his tie. Kira stopped pacing. "Show me the evidence." I spread everything on her antique coffee table, the forged will, bank statements, the passport Sergio found, and Mitchell's expert analysis. "Mother," Sergio started, but Kira held up a hand. "The wedding is in 48 hours. 200 guests are flying in. The press will be there because of your father's company." She looked at her son. "This needs to be handled delicately." "Delicately?" I leaned forward. "She stole millions." "Exactly." Kira sat down, perfectly poised. "Which is why we need to be smart. A public scandal would hurt everyone, including your family's reputation." My phone buzzed. A text from Luke. "I just got back from the bank. Huge withdrawal." "She's moving faster than we thought." I showed them the message. Kira stood up again. "I need to make some calls. Sergio, get me Mitchell's number." As they left the room, Nancy slipped in through the patio doors. "You need to see this." She handed me her tablet. "Just found it on Ainsley's cloud drive." I scrolled through what looked like email exchanges between Ainsley and someone named Alex. Travel arrangements, offshore accounts, plans for after the wedding. "There's more," Nancy said quietly. "Keep reading." My hands started shaking as I got to the older emails. She planned this before Dad got sick. Looks like it. She was counting on the inheritance even then. The door opened and Kira returned, phone in hand. "Mitchell's filing an emergency injunction to freeze the accounts, but..." She stopped, seeing my face. "What's wrong?" I handed her the tablet. She read quickly, her expression hardening. "This changes things," she said finally. "Sergio." He came running back in. "What is it?" "Your fiancée didn't just steal from her family. She may have had something to do with their father's death." The room went silent. I felt the floor tilt beneath me. "That's impossible," I whispered, but even as I said it, memories started clicking into place. Ainsley's sudden interest in Dad's medication, her insistence on being the one to organise his care. My phone rang. Luke again. "Des, you need to get home. Now." "What's wrong?" "Someone broke into your apartment." I was out the door before he finished speaking, Nancy right behind me. When we reached my building, Luke was waiting outside with 2 police officers. "Nothing was taken," he said as we rushed upstairs. "But..." My apartment was a mess, but not a random one. Every drawer was pulled out, every file scattered. On my kitchen wall, written in what looked like red lipstick, "Back off." "Classic intimidation tactic," one officer said, taking photos. "Do you know who might have done this?" I caught Luke's eye. We both knew, but without proof. "I'll need to file a report," I said instead. After the police left, Luke, Nancy, and I sat among the chaos of my apartment. "She's desperate," Nancy said, helping me pick up scattered papers. "This proves it." "She's dangerous," Luke corrected. "Maybe we should stop." "No." I stood up, finding Dad's photo among the mess. His smile so similar to Ainsley's, but genuine, warm. "She doesn't get to win. Not after this." My phone buzzed again. "Sergio. Mother has a plan. Meeting tonight at 8. Bring everything." I showed the others the text. "You in?" Nancy squeezed my hand. "Always." Luke sighed but nodded. "Someone has to keep you from doing anything too crazy." That evening, we gathered in Kira's study. Me, Luke, Nancy, Sergio, Kira, and Mitchell. 6 people against my sister's carefully constructed house of cards. "The wedding is tomorrow," Kira said, spreading blueprints of the venue across her desk. "Everything needs to be perfect, until it isn't." Mitchell adjusted his glasses. "The police are ready. They just need our signal." "And the evidence?" "All here." He patted his briefcase. including those emails. I looked around at these people who were risking so much to help me. Thank you, all of you. Kira's smile was sharp. Save your thanks for tomorrow, dear. We're about to give your sister a wedding she'll never forget. As we finalized the details, my phone lit up with a text from Ainsley. Can't wait to share my special day with you, sis. Sleep well. I texted back. Wouldn't miss it for the world. The bridal suite buzzed with nervous energy as makeup artists and hairstylists fluttered around Ainsley. She sat in front of a massive mirror, looking every bit the perfect bride. Your turn, Des, she called out, patting the chair next to her. Can't have my maid of honor looking anything less than perfect. I caught Nancy's eye in the mirror as I sat down. She gave a subtle nod. Everything was in place. You seem calm, I said to Ainsley while a stylist started on my hair. Why wouldn't I be? She smiled, but her fingers kept fidgeting with her diamond bracelet. It's my perfect day. My phone buzzed. Luke. Police are here. Undercover. Mitchell has the papers ready. Who keeps texting you? Ainsley snapped. Just work stuff. I slipped the phone away. Hey, remember Dad's wedding toast at Cousin Rachel's wedding? The makeup brush in her hand froze. Why are you bringing that up? Just thinking about him today. Wish he could be here. Well, he's not. She stood abruptly, her white robe swishing. I need air. Everyone out, except Des. The room cleared quickly. As soon as the door closed, Ainsley's perfect bride facade cracked. What game are you playing? She hissed. No game, just remembering Dad's favorite saying. The truth always comes out. She grabbed my arm, her manicured nails digging in. Listen carefully. In 2 hours, I'm walking down that aisle. Nothing is going to stop that. Understand? A knock at the door made us both jump. Kira entered, elegant in deep blue. Everything all right, girls? Her eyes fixed on Ainsley's grip on my arm. Ainsley released me instantly, smile back in place. Perfect. Just sister stuff. Wonderful. Kira held up a small box. I brought something for you, dear. Family tradition. Inside was a delicate pearl necklace. Ainsley's eyes widened. It's beautiful, she breathed. Let me help you put it on. Kira moved behind her, catching my eye in the mirror. You know, my grandmother always said pearls represent tears. Funny tradition for a wedding, isn't it? Ainsley's smile flickered. I should finish getting ready. Of course. Kira headed for the door, then paused. Oh, and Ainsley, your mother would be proud. You look just like her. The moment she left, Ainsley grabbed her phone, fingers shaking as she typed. My own phone buzzed. Nancy. Package in her room, right where she said it would be. Everything okay? I asked innocently. Fine, Ainsley practically shouted. Everything's fine. Where's my dress? The next hour passed in a blur of white tulle and nervous energy. As I helped Ainsley into her gown, I noticed she kept checking her phone, growing more agitated each time. Another text from Luke. Ready when you are. Time for the photos, the wedding planner burst in. Everyone in position. Outside, guests were arriving. I spotted Sergio greeting them, playing his part perfectly. Luke stood by the entrance, chatting with Mitchell. Everything was ready. Des, Ainsley called from behind me. For a moment she sounded like my little sister again, the one who used to crawl into my bed during thunderstorms. Do you think Mom and Dad would really be proud? I turned to look at her, this beautiful broken person who'd destroyed our family for money. I think they'd want you to do the right thing. Her face hardened. The right thing is subjective. She checked her phone one last time, then straightened her shoulders. Let's get this show on the road. As we lined up for the processional, Nancy squeezed my hand. You okay? I nodded, watching Ainsley adjust her veil. Ask me again in an hour. The wedding planner started organising everyone. Places, please. We start in 5 minutes. Ainsley's phone buzzed one final time. As she read the message, all the colour drained from her face. No, she whispered. No, no, no. Problem? I asked. She grabbed her clutch, hands shaking. I have to. The wedding march started playing. Guests stood up. Sergio waited at the altar. Ready? I asked my sister. She looked at me then, really looked at me, and for the first time I saw real fear in her eyes. What did you do? Nothing yet. I straightened her veil. But Dad always said the truth comes out. Remember? The doors opened. The bridesmaids started walking. It's your perfect day, sis, I whispered. Wouldn't want to keep everyone waiting. As we took our places for the processional, I saw Mitchell slip into the back row, briefcase in hand. Luke nodded from his position. Nancy adjusted her bouquet, where her phone was ready to record everything. The wedding march reached its crescendo. All eyes turned to the bride. Ainsley took her first step down the aisle, clutching her bouquet like a lifeline, unaware that her perfect day was about to become her worst nightmare. The string quartet played softly as Ainsley floated down the aisle, every eye in the cathedral fixed on her. She looked perfect, too perfect, like a porcelain doll about to shatter. The minister began his speech about love and trust, but I barely heard him. I was watching Sergio, waiting for our signal. If anyone has reason why these two should not be joined in holy matrimony, the minister intoned, speak now or forever hold your peace. Sergio cleared his throat. Actually, I have something to say. A murmur rippled through the crowd. Ainsley's grip on her bouquet tightened. Darling, she said through clenched teeth, what are you doing? Something I should have done weeks ago. He turned to face the guests. I'm sorry, but this wedding is a fraud. And so is the bride. The murmuring grew louder. I saw phones coming out, recording. Sergio, please, Ainsley whispered, reaching for his hand. He stepped back. Mitchell, would you like to explain why you're here? Mitchell stood, his briefcase in hand. Ms. Franklin, would you care to explain this? He held up a document. It's your father's real will, the one you forged a new version of. Gasps echoed through the church. Ainsley spun around, her veil whipping through the air. This is ridiculous. Des, tell them... Tell them what? I stepped forward. That you stole our inheritance? That you planned to take the money and run after the wedding? That's not... She stopped as Kira walked up the aisle holding something. Looking for this. Kira held up a small carry-on suitcase. Found it in your dressing room. Quite a lot of cash inside. Along with this. She pulled out the fake passport. Ainsley lunged for the suitcase, her wedding dress rustling. That's private property. Actually, a voice called from the back, it's evidence. A police detective stood up, badge in hand. Along with these emails we found. Nancy stepped forward, her phone displaying the incriminating messages. You should really use better passwords, Ainsley. The colour drained from my sister's face. She looked around wildly like a trapped animal. You don't understand, she said, her voice breaking. None of you understand. I deserved that money. I was always the one who got left behind, the one who wasn't good enough. So you forged Dad's will? Luke called out. Made him sign it when he was too sick to know what he was signing? He wanted me to have it. She was screaming now, mascara running down her cheeks. He told me. He told you to take care of your sister. I cut in. Those were his last words. But you couldn't even do that, could you? The detective was walking down the aisle now, another officer beside him. Ainsley backed away from them, bumping into the altar. This isn't happening. This can't be happening. Ainsley Franklin, the detective said. You're under arrest for fraud, forgery, and grand theft. You have the right to remain silent. She bolted, or tried to. Her heel caught in her dress train, and she went down hard, scattering rose petals across the marble floor. The church erupted in chaos. Guests stood, phones recording everything. The officers helped Ainsley up, reading her rights as they cuffed her. You, she spat at me as they led her past. You planned this. Your own sister. No, I said quietly. You did this. Every single bit of it. She struggled against the officers. I hate you. I've always hated you. Perfect Desiree, everyone's favourite. Save it for your lawyer, Kira cut in coldly. As they took her away, her veil fell to the ground. I picked it up, the delicate lace trembling in my hands. The guests started filing out, whispering among themselves. Luke came to stand beside me, putting an arm around my shoulders. You okay? I nodded, watching Sergio talk to the police. Did we do the right thing? She gave us no choice, Nancy said, joining us. You saw those emails. She was going to take everything and disappear. Mitchell approached, holding a stack of papers. The courts will need statements from all of you. And there's the matter of reinstating the original will. Later, Luke said firmly. Right now, my sister needs a drink. As we walked down the aisle, past the abandoned flowers and scattered programs, I heard someone whisper, "Best wedding ever." I couldn't help but laugh even as tears pricked my eyes. Dad always said go big or go home. Outside, reporters were already gathering. Kira took charge, directing them away from us toward her PR team. Come on, Nancy linked her arm through mine. Let's get out of here before they realize you're the wronged sister. In the parking lot, I looked back at the church one last time. The string quartet was packing up, the flowers already wilting in the afternoon sun. Hey, Luke called, holding open his car door. You coming? I took one last look at the church where my sister's perfect day had turned into her worst nightmare, then turned away. Yeah, I said. I'm coming. The courthouse was quieter than I expected. 3 months after the wedding that wasn't, I sat in the front row, watching my sister in her orange jumpsuit. All rise, the bailiff called out. Ainsley didn't look at me as she stood. She hadn't looked at me once during the entire trial. Before we proceed with sentencing, the judge said, would the defendant like to make a statement? Ainsley's lawyer nudged her. She stood slowly, her blonde hair pulled back in a simple ponytail, so different from her elaborate wedding updo. Her voice cracked. She started again. I never meant for things to go this far. That's not what the evidence suggests, the judge replied. The prosecution has shown this was a carefully planned series of crimes spanning several months. You don't understand. Ainsley's voice grew stronger. My whole life I've watched Desiree get everything. The grades, the praise, Dad's approval. So you forged his will? He was dying anyway. She spun around, finally looking at me. You weren't there. You were too busy with your perfect life while I took care of him. Ms. Franklin, the judge warned. You want to know the truth? Ainsley continued, tears streaming down her face. I did it because I could. Because for once in my life, I wanted to be the one who won. Is that what you want to hear, Des? Nancy squeezed my hand as I stood up. Your Honour, I said. May I speak? The judge nodded. Ainsley, I turned to my sister. Do you remember when Mum died? You were 12. You crawled into my bed every night for months. Don't, she whispered. You said you were scared of being alone, and I promised you'd never be alone, that we'd always have each other's backs. Stop it. But somewhere along the way, you decided that wasn't enough, that love wasn't enough, that you needed to win, even if it meant destroying our family. You don't know what it's like, she shouted, living in your shadow. No, I agreed, but I know what it's like to lose my sister. And that hurts more than any amount of money you stole. The judge cleared his throat. If there are no further statements, I'm ready to proceed with sentencing. What happened next seemed to move in slow motion. The judge's words echoed through the courtroom. 5 years in state prison, restitution of all stolen funds, possibility of parole after 3 years with good behaviour. Ainsley collapsed into her chair. Her lawyer patted her shoulder awkwardly. As the bailiff led her away, she stopped briefly beside me. I really did love you once, she whispered. I still love you, I replied. That's the difference between us. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed us. Luke pushed through them, creating a path to the car where Sergio waited. How does it feel to see justice served? Someone shouted. Will you press additional charges? What about the wedding expenses? Kira appeared suddenly, her PR team in tow. The family has no comment at this time. Please respect their privacy. In the car, Sergio handed me a tissue. You okay? Ask me tomorrow. I looked at the manila envelope in my lap. Dad's original will, finally executed properly. What about you? He smiled sadly. I'm selling the ring, donating the money to fraud prevention charities. Speaking of money, Mitchell said from the front seat, we need to discuss what you want to do with the estate. I opened the envelope. looking at the figures that had caused so much damage. Actually, I have an idea about that. Later that evening, we gathered at Luke's place, the same group that had planned Ainsley's downfall, now planning something very different. A foundation, Nancy read over the proposal I'd drafted. For women in financial crisis, I explained. Legal aid, financial literacy, emergency assistance, everything I wished I'd had when this started. Dad would have loved that, Luke said quietly. What are you going to call it? Kira asked. I thought about Mom, about Dad, about the little girl Ainsley used to be. Second chances. Perfect, Sergio raised his glass. 2 second chances. As everyone clinked glasses, my phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. Package arrived for you at the prison. From your sister. Inside was a single sheet of paper, covered in Ainsley's familiar handwriting. Des, I'm sorry. Not just for the money. For everything. You were right. Love should have been enough. Maybe someday I'll figure out why it wasn't. Nancy peered over my shoulder. You okay? I folded the note carefully, tucking it away. Ask me in 5 years. When she gets out? Yeah. I looked around at my chosen family, the people who'd helped me through the darkest days. Maybe by then we'll both be ready for a second chance. Luke raised his glass again. To family, the ones we're born with and the ones we choose. To family, we echoed, and I felt something inside me finally begin to heal. The autumn breeze rustled through the cemetery as I placed fresh flowers on Dad's grave. The sound of footsteps behind me made me turn. I wasn't sure you'd come, I said. Ainsley stood there in simple jeans and a sweater, her blonde hair shorter now, less perfect. Prison had changed her in subtle ways. I almost didn't. She knelt beside me, touching the headstone. First time I've been here since... I know. We sat in silence, watching leaves dance across the grass. The foundation's doing well, I said finally. We just opened our 3rd office. I saw the article. She plucked at the grass. Nancy sent me the clipping. She writes to me sometimes. That was news to me. What else does she write about? Luke's baby. Sergio's engagement. You. She looked up. Why didn't you tell me you were using my wedding venue as the foundation's headquarters? Wasn't sure how you'd feel about it. She laughed. A real laugh, not the practiced one I remembered. It's perfect, actually. Poetic justice. My phone buzzed, a text from Mitchell. Papers are ready when you are. That's why I'm really here, Ainsley said, catching my expression. The restitution papers. I pulled the envelope from my bag. You don't have to sign them. The parole board already approved your release. I want to. She took the papers, scanning them quickly. Using my share of Dad's inheritance to fund the foundation, it feels right. You could keep it. Start over somewhere. She shook her head. I need to fix what I broke. Or at least try. I handed her a pen. She signed quickly, then handed everything back. So what now? I asked. Now? She stood up, brushing grass from her jeans. Now I get a job. A real one. Luke offered me a position at his company. Entry level, minimum wage. Really? He said everyone deserves a second chance, even little sisters who screw up spectacularly. I smiled, remembering our foundation's name. He's right. Des? Her voice wavered slightly. That day in court, when you said you still loved me, did you mean it? Instead of answering, I reached into my bag and pulled out an old photo album. Remember this? She sat back down, opening it carefully. Inside were pictures of us as kids, birthday parties, dance recitals, family vacations. Mum's camera, she whispered. You kept it? Look at the last page. She turned to find a recent photo, Nancy's birthday party last week. Luke was there with his wife and baby, Sergio and his new fiancée, Kira, and several women from the foundation. There's an empty chair, she noted. We always leave one, just in case. Her fingers traced the empty seat. You really never gave up on me, did you? You're my sister. That doesn't change, even when everything else does. She closed the album, wiping her eyes. I don't deserve you. Probably not, I agreed, making her laugh through her tears. But family isn't about deserving, it's about choosing to stay even when it's hard. Standing up, I held out my hand. Come on, Nancy's making dinner. That empty chair's waiting. She hesitated. Everyone will be there. Everyone who matters. What if they hate me? They might, I admitted. For a while. But they also might surprise you. They surprised me. She took my hand, letting me pull her up. As we walked to the car, she stopped suddenly. I never asked, what happened to my wedding dress? Donated it to a women's shelter. They cut it up and made christening gowns for babies. She smiled. Perfect. One last thing. She turned back to Dad's grave. I'm sorry, Daddy, for everything. I'm trying to be better. The breeze picked up, scattering leaves around us like confetti, nature's gentler version of that dramatic wedding day. My phone buzzed again. Nancy, dinner's ready. Is she coming? I looked at Ainsley questioningly. She nodded. We're on our way, I texted back. As we drove through the familiar streets, Ainsley fiddled with her seatbelt. Tell me something good, she said quietly. The foundation helped its 1,000th client last week. A woman named Sarah. She reminded me of you, actually. Yeah. Smart, determined. Made some mistakes but wasn't ready to let them define her. Ainsley smiled, watching the city pass by. Sounds like there's hope for all of us then. There always was, I said, turning onto Nancy's street. You just had to want it badly enough. We pulled up to the house, warm light spilling from the windows, voices and laughter drifting out. Ready? I asked. Ainsley squared her shoulders, echoing words from a different time, a different person. Ask me tomorrow. But this time, when she smiled, it reached her eyes.